Fabulous.
Somebody's awake. Welcome to the Ultimate Success Tour. How's everyone this morning?
Fabulous.
Excellent. We are here in Las Vegas. We just, 2 weeks ago, we were in Los Angeles. And then 2 weeks before that, we were in San Diego. And then in 4 weeks, we're in Seattle. And then we're going to be in Calgary, Canada, with a ton of fun people up there. A lot of oil people in Calgary, Canada. I hate Calgary. Don't tell them. But that is one of the worst cities I have ever been to in my life. I cannot stand that. Why? There's nothing to do. We were there, the last time I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on Friday night, we went to the concierge, the hotel downtown Calgary. We said, hey, what is there to do in Calgary, Canada? I mean, it's it's one of the top 4 or 5 cities in Canada in terms of the largest cities. So what is there to do in Calgary? They said, well, you can either go to this casino, or you can go to this club, and I know you guys are in Vegas, so you can relate to the casino thing. You can go to the casino, but the casinos are not like the casinos in Vegas, or you can go to the club. And that's really all you can do. And they said the one other thing, if you absolutely must do something, is, and I think they close at 7 p.m., it was like 5 at the time, you can go up the little tower and look out in the, it's like the stratosphere in Calgary. The difference is that here it's interesting when you're in the stratosphere going around. In Calgary, there's nothing but farmland when you're in the thing going around, so you're just looking at a bunch of emptiness, and it's like, wow, it's a lot of fun. So I go there for business. I do not go there for fun because it's not fun. I can never live there. It's funny because a lot of the oil people that work in the Calgary area, they actually take planes to their business in Calgary from Edmonton because they want to live in Edmonton where they're shopping and there's tons of fun stuff to do. They don't want to live in boring Calgary. I totally relate, right? So if I could give you a ton of value all in the next 30 minutes and we make your whole time here totally worthwhile, how many would be up for that? So 30 minutes of tons of value, and then you guys know, like, no, I'm just kidding, don't leave. You guys have amazing speakers today. But I am going to make your time here totally worthwhile all in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Is everyone ready for that? Yes. It's going to require a few things from you. First of all, you guys have to be awake, be here in the room, because I know it's early. I talk really, really fast, and I want you guys to really be with me. Okay? Great. So the next thing is, what I'd like to do is I'd like to hand this out to you with pens. If I had a system that would ensure that you create results, if I had a system that can ensure that 90% of you will actually achieve your goals and your outcomes in the next week, how many would be interested in that? A specific system that will actually have you produce the results you desire in the next week. Okay? Anybody interested? How many of you set goals for yourself and don't achieve them? Anyone? We're the liars in the room. Those are the ones not raising their hands. Okay. How many of you would believe me if I told you that there's been a missing element in every goal-setting system you've ever looked at in your life? Can you pass those back for me? How many of you would believe me if I told you I found the missing link? Not many of you. Exactly. I did this in San Diego 4 weeks ago, and 90% of the attendees, because we actually follow up with them, 90% of the attendees achieved the goal that they set forth for themselves. If 90% of the room achieved the goal they set forth for themselves, and I did this 4 weeks ago in San Diego. They set a 7-day outcome for themselves, 90% achieved it. Those that didn't achieved in 14 days, right? So they set a goal for themselves the next week because we followed up with them, and they achieved in 14 days. Okay? This system actually works. How many of you ever heard set goals and then set rewards for when you achieve goals? Anyone ever heard of the reward system? I believe in the reward system, but something's missing. How many of you ever set consequences for not achieving your goals? Anybody? How many of you hold yourself accountable to those consequences? This side of the room. How many of you actually put forth consequences that give you more pain if you don't do whatever you need to do? So the consequence applies more pain than actually achieving your goal. Yes. And how many of you are still not achieving your goal? You achieve your goal. When you do that, absolutely, every time, huh? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you found the secret and then you don't use the secret, huh? Right. Yeah, I got it.
I did once, and it worked.
And it worked.
What do you have for procrastinators?
I'm about to show you.
I probably wrote that.
Yeah, I'm about to show you. Look at a piece of paper because I forgot to take one for myself. Thank you very much. Great, so what I'm going to invite you to do is on the back of this piece of paper, go ahead and draw a circle and divide it into six quadrants. We've all done this before, if I had to guess. And the 6 quadrants are for the 6 areas of life: health and wellness, relationship, business, education, spirituality. The 6 areas of your life. And what I'd like you to do is go ahead and rate those 0 to 10. I'm doing this a little bit quickly because we've got a lot to do today and the most important part is yet to come. So go ahead and rate those areas of your life.
What are the areas?
You pick health and wellness,
Oh.
relationship, spirituality, business, personal growth and education, and I'm missing family. That kind of goes under business. Business, finance, money, all that stuff. Okay? Go ahead and rate those areas for me.
1 to 10.
1 to 10. 10 being you're at the top of your game, can't get any better. 1 being, wow, I really need to work on this right now. If I don't work on this right now, the consequences are astronomical. Okay, go ahead and rate that 1 to 10. And then notice the area or the areas that you are not achieving at the highest level. So what's the area with the lowest number? Or what are the areas with the lowest number? You all are achievers in this room, so for many of you it's probably going to be between a 4 and a 7 are your lowest areas. And then for the achievers, the highest areas are probably going to be around the 7, 8, 9. Now I do not have a 10 on my circle because I believe there's always room to grow.
So we're supposed to rate them.
Rate them 0 to 10 at where you are now.
Okay, not for each other.
No, not compared to each other, just for you, where you are for yourself now. We're finding out who the competitive ones are in the group, aren't we? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is once you've identified the low areas, go ahead and flip over to the other side of the paper. Okay, what I'm asking you to do is make a commitment. I'm going to ask you to make a promise. How many of you have a relationship to promises? That's everyone. How many of you have a positive relationship to promises? A lot of you. How many of you have a negative relationship to consequences? I'm sorry, to promises. Consequences are coming next. How many of you have a negative relationship to promises? Yeah, absolutely, for some of us. Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you to make a commitment for those of you who have a negative relationship, and for those of you who have a positive relationship, I'm going to ask you to make a promise. What I'm going to ask you to do is take that first area, the lowest area, and find out what's the biggest gap for you. What's the area that you have not, where haven't you achieved? What haven't you done? What haven't you succeeded at that you really want to do? Okay, and if it's a big thing, then chunk it down. What's the first step for that? Okay, and identify what your specific outcome is going to be over the next 7 days. What's the specific thing you're going to do in this area of life over the next 7 days? So I'm going to give you an example of what I did. I did this about 4 months ago. I said, I will not exercise. My health and wellness is the lowest area for me. And my natural pull was to business. And I would have said, okay, I'll just do a result for business because that's what I wanted to do. And that's something I knew I could achieve because it was easy for me. Business has always been the easy thing. Health and wellness is the hard thing because I don't enjoy exercising. I don't care if you put a personal trainer on my butt. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to exercise. Right? I'll set appointments with personal trainers and won't show up. I will not exercise. And you can relate. For some of us, yeah. It's like, forget it. Exercise is not something we'll do, right? So what I did is I said, and this is for me personally, I said, if I don't exercise twice in the next week, now, granted, I had not exercised in over a year. If I do not exercise twice in the next week, I will pay Sarah Palin $100 for every time I do not exercise. How many of you, that would have gotten your butt up and moving to the gym? Because there was no way, it wasn't about $100, there was no way I was giving Sarah Palin $100 and supporting her to become the president. Just wasn't going to happen. Or supporting her son-in-law to become the mayor of Wasilla, whatever it is. Right? It just wasn't going to happen. So I exercised. And I've done it consistently since then because that was something that worked. And I knew that if that was the outcome for me, setting up a consequence that has greater pain than not doing whatever I know I need to do is what finally worked. So what's that result for you? Go ahead and write down now your specific commitment due within 7 days. So 7 days from today. Today is 9/4. I give my word that I will, whatever it is. Now the consequence, I've heard a few different consequences. One of the consequences for someone who works really, really well was the following. They said if I don't do whatever I'm supposed to do, whatever it was, exercise, for example, the next 2 times, or 2 times the next week, I will get on the phone with 10 of my closest friends, and I will tell them, look, I did not keep my word. I am not to be trusted. I am out of integrity. Do not trust me. And they said this to 10 of their closest friends. How many of you would get you into action? For some of you, it's not money, you don't care. But if you have to get on your phone and tell your closest friends that you are not to be trusted, you're out of integrity, that's going to get your butt in gear for some of you. Right? And I had one coach, he said, look, he said, I'm going to make you give me money, right? He actually set up this online system where anytime you don't achieve your goal, you actually have to give him money. So he said, the monetary consequence to not exercising 2 times in 1 week is $100 each time. So it's $200 at the end of the week if you haven't exercised at all, and that money goes to him. And people always ask him, well, does that go to your nonprofit organization? He said, yeah, it's a nonprofit organization in my wallet. I'm going skydiving with your money. Because nothing good will come out of you not achieving your goals. Nothing good will come out of you not achieving your goals. If you put down that you're going to pay me $500 for not making 300 phone calls in the next week, and you don't do it, and you give me $500, I'm taking my girlfriend out to a really nice dinner, and then we're going on a trip somewhere.
Well, that's not good for you.
Good for me, not good for you. Nothing good comes for you out of not achieving that goal. It's not for the kids starving in Africa. I don't care. I mean, I do care about them, but not with your reward money. We'll do that elsewhere. So set up a consequence for yourself. Now, here's the thing. The consequence cannot be directly relatable to the result. Meaning that if my result is I want to make $10,000 in the next week, I cannot have a negative monetary consequence to that goal. Does that make sense? So it can't be if I don't make $10,000 in the next week, I'm going to pay my sister $300. I can't say that because then the consequence doesn't line up with the result, right? It doesn't support me in moving forward. So whatever that consequence is cannot be directly relatable to your outcome, okay? I had one guy a couple weeks ago, he said, if I don't set up 3 corporate training events for myself, I will not pay, excuse me, he said, I will do 300 push-ups. And to him, he hates push-ups, so he was going to do it, right? So set up that consequence for yourself. Now here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. You have the option of doing 1, 2, or 3 of these, however many you want. By the way, my advice is to do 3 because you'll actually get a lot done in the week if you do 3. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn these back to me with your name and phone number on it. You're not going on an email list. You're not going on a phone call list. You're just going to be giving me your information. The reason you're giving me your information is because I will follow up with you in 7 days. And in 7 days, I will say, hey, did you achieve your outcome? Did you achieve your outcome? If you didn't, did you follow through on your consequence? And I'm going to have it in front of me. So I'm going to ask you, did you pay your sister $300 for not exercising twice in a week or whatever it is? If you didn't edit your book, I had one girl a couple weeks ago, if you did not edit your book, did you pay your sister $300? Because that was hers. And I am going to follow up with you in 1 week's time. And if you didn't, we're going to set up a consequence for the next week. As I said, 90% of people achieve their goal with a consequence set up. So if you do not give this paper back to me, you are setting yourself up for failure. Okay? If you do not give this paper back to me, you are setting yourself up for failure. Some of you are like, failure, that's an awful word. I say, yeah, I don't believe in failure, I believe in learning experiences. But look, if you don't set yourself up for success, and you guarantee yourself failure, and you don't give yourself a support structure, you have there's nothing to learn from that. I'm giving you the opportunity to learn right now. Give me the piece of paper. Okay?
Justin,
Yes?
do you have suggestions for people who are struggling
With the consequence. What's something that would give you more pain that you no matter what would do whatever? What's on your paper? What's the goal?
Well, I have 4 things. Sign up for Toastmasters, gather list of information.
Let's start with sign up for Toastmasters. Okay, sign up for Toastmasters. Got it. So what's something that you could have as a consequence that would guarantee you're going to sign up for Toastmasters. Like, if this consequence is so painful to you that there is no way that you will not sign up to Toastmasters because you know that I'm going to hold you accountable to whatever that is.
I was just attempting to think of something different besides giving money away to somebody.
Okay, don't give money. What's painful for you?
Just speak in front of people.
To speak in front of people. Thanks. So, speaking in front of people
It's
is
not
very
that bad.
painful. It's not that bad.
No.
Well, you're doing it right now in front of 30
Right, it's,
people.
I'm okay.
Okay, so what would you have to say in front of 30 people to have it be painful? What's that pain for you? What's one of your biggest fears?
Probably, well, maybe the fear of judgment.
Fear of what kind of judgment? What will people judge you for?
Things that I haven't accomplished.
Got it. Got it. So it sounds like the one that I told you about with the other one, where if you have to get on a phone call with 10 of your closest friends, or your family, or what have you, and tell them you are not to be trusted, you did not accomplish your goal.
Oh, yeah.
And what if you weren't successful because of it? Would that get you to sign up for Toastmasters?
To call 10 people and tell them.
To get them all on the phone even at one time?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Probably, huh?
I would want to do that.
Yeah. So go ahead and write that down. Anyone else struggling with this? And what I'd like you to do is go ahead and, once you're finished writing your consequence, go ahead and turn to a piece of paper that you have. Again, add a piece of paper. If not, there's paper in the back of the room. Go ahead and write down, why are you here today? Finish those consequences, that's the most important thing. But if you finished, go ahead and write down, why are you here today? What's the purpose of your time here today? What will you create today? What I did is I used to go to seminars all the time and I used to write down, why am I here today? I used to write down exactly why I'm here. And I used to get really clear on why I'm at the seminar, but the problem is I wasn't clear on what I wanted by the end of the day. Or I didn't have a really clear outcome of what I was going to take from my time here today. Because what I found was that as soon as I started getting clear on what I was going to take, on who I was going to meet, or on how I was going to impact my business or my life, all of a sudden I started creating those things that I wanted out of the day because it was really clear. How many of you realize that what you attract, you get, right? The law of attraction wasn't foolish. They missed the action part, but the law of attraction wasn't foolish. You have to attract what you want. You also have to act on it. But you already showed up, so you've already taken the action, you've pre-acted, but you may not have attracted yet. So what is it that you're going to actually take from today? What's the specific thing that you want to take? What's your specific outcome for today? Why are you here? And by the end of the day, you will have achieved what? Or you will have taken what? Or you will have this, whatever it is for you. And before we bring up our first speaker, I'd like to go through 3 rules I have for the day. I don't like rules, but these are I'm like you, I don't like rules, right? And someone challenged me the other day. I said, I don't like rules. They said, you don't like the rules you don't like. You like the rule that says red means stop, green means go. Because if it didn't, you'd be in car accidents every other day. I said, yeah, you're right? So it's just a very interesting distinction. 3 rules for the day. First, play full out. No matter what, play full out. It means active listening, active learning. Right? If you're only listening, I know you guys are all taking notes, so I'm preaching to the choir here. If you're only taking notes, you're only listening and not taking notes, you're only taking 1/3 of what you could out of the day. Okay, because by writing it down, you both feel it and you see it. Take lots of notes and have lots of fun. If you're not having fun today, then I'm sorry. Open up your beliefs around fun. What I learned is I was just listening to this CD the other day. It was a refresher for me. I had heard it before. We were talking about rules. One of the things we said is that we set our own rules. Many of us do it subconsciously. But when we actually create rules for ourselves, it allows us to get really, really clear on what's okay, what's not. We were talking about relationships. If we set rules in relationships as what must happen in order for us to feel loved, but our rules are different than our partner's rules, we love each other based on our rules, not on our partner's rules. And then there's a disconnect, right? Because if I'm loving you based on what my perception is of loving, and you're loving me based on your perception of loving, but we don't match up, because we're not clear about what each other's rules are, there's a huge disconnect there. Right? Now the same thing is true we were talking about in life, how you can actually create your happiness based on your rules are. If you're happy, it's based on your rules. If you're sad, it's based on your rules. If you're depressed, suicidal, what have you, it's based on your rules of how you have to live life, on what has to happen in life. Many of you have rules as what it means to be successful. If I asked you what absolutely has to happen for you in order to be successful, you'd have specific things that has to happen. For some people, it's I have to wake up feeling happy every morning. And that's all it takes for them to be successful. For other people, they have to launch a radio show, they have to write 4 books, and they have to do whatever they have to do in order to be successful. It's based on their rules. One of the biggest distinctions for me, I was talking to a guy and I said, what's your favorite kind of weather? And he said, well, I love it when it's sunny because I can feel the sun on my body. He said, I love it when it's cloudy because it shields from the sun. I love it when it rains because you can feel the water on your back, and I love it when it snows. How many ways has he set himself up to win? There's no failing for him. So if you set yourself up with those kind of rules, imagine how much more success and fulfillment you could have in your life. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring up our first speaker. We're going to take just a 60-second break so we can set up our PowerPoint and get everything set up, finish those rules, bring them to the back of the room so that I have them. If you don't give me your rules, remember, you are not setting yourself up for success. I'm sorry, if you don't give me your consequences, you're not setting yourself up for success. Bring that paper to me in the back of the room. We're going to set up the PowerPoint, and then we're going to get started with our first speaker. Is everyone ready? Yep. How's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling good? Is that enough value for you to get you started in the morning? Yes. 20 minutes of hardcore value, right? Everyone good? Okay, let's take 60 seconds. Ready to go.